Okay. So, uh, starting a new stream this evening with a new set of stuff. Do I have a terminal here? Nope. Okay. Gonna have to fire up a terminal. That visible to you guys. So let's do that. Let's just do this. Now we'll just fire up a terminal. Stick it here. I'll make it the same place as my Visual Studio so that we can all watch it together. Make it bigger and make it visible. Okay. Go as screen capture. Display algorithm. Okay. All right, so we got us a terminal. Cool. So the first thing we got to do if we're going to do some Elixir coding is we have to install Elixir because I don't think I currently have it on this machine because I haven't had this laptop for that long. So for those who aren't familiar with Elixir, it's a full coding language. Not so I've been doing all my stuff in DataWeave, which is a domain-specific language. Elixir is a full-fleshed language, just like JavaScript or Ruby or Java or any of those. And it's a language built on top of Erlang. So similar to like Scala is built on top of Java, and lots of languages are built on top of C. This is built on top of Erlang. And so that gives you access to all of the nice little tools of a very long um, lived, well maintained, robust language, but gives you a nice modern syntax for working with that. So let's make this a little bigger for folks. There we go. Cool. So we need to install Erlang first. So, or install, well, we have to install them both. So using Homebrew, okay, now that's easy enough. Brew install Elixir. I'm not going to worry about version managers right now. Normally I would use ASDF for my Elixir versions, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. And normally I've done some Elixir coding in the past. Normally I do it in my IDE that I use for it is Emacs with a Vim flavor called Spacemacs. We're not going to do that this time for a couple of reasons. For one thing, this laptop's a little bit locked down and I don't have the ability to just get any app I want on it. And I need to be able to copy to the clipboard. I need a particular app installed, which I would have to get permission to install first before I could install it. So we're not going to do that. So instead, we're going to try adding Visual Studio Code extensions and seeing if see what it's like to do Elixir development in VS Code, which is why I have this blog post pulled up, set up VS Code for Elixir Dev. So once we get um, Elixir and Phoenix, I think, installed, yeah, we'll install Phoenix. So Phoenix is a web framework for Elixir. So like Ruby has Rails, Elixir has Phoenix, similar conceptually. So Phoenix web framework, framework.org. To install the Elixir program. Install the Phoenix generator and create your project. Bleed installation instructions. Phoenix installation. You need a few dependencies installed. Erlang database. So we would have to install Postgres, which I may or may not have. Yeah, we could do a local database for now. And then we have Elixir, I think. So curl. Okay, so caveats. Curl is KEG only, which means it's not symlinked in opt homebrew. Curl. I have curl. I do. To restart Emacs after Emacs, ASDF. So Elixir. Do I have Elixir now? Elixir -v. We do. We have Elixir 1.15.6 compiled with Erlang version 26. Cool. And then to install Phoenix, so we need mix. Do we have mix? We do have mix. Mix archive.install hex Phoenix new. This flag there's a blur command I have to do so all of it'll option fix help. PostgreSQL relational database. We may not even need to. We may not even need to install Phoenix. Mix Phoenix new hello. No, no, yeah. We do need Phoenix new. So sure you want to install Phoenix new. Yeah, why not? Cool, that was painless. We have Phoenix. We have Elixir. Man, I wish Ruby was that easy to get up and running. Cool. So we have Phoenix and Elixir installed. There are many extensions for VS Code. We're going to close this out now. We may come back to it later if I reopen it. Do I get? Yeah, okay, it comes right back up. Awesome, cool. So does it come back? Yep. Okay, great. All right, cool. So we open up a terminal. We're all set. So some must-have extensions for Elixir. Elixir LS, Elixir Support and Debugger, autocomplete and more powered by Elixir LS. Can do troubleshooting steps as well. Code management tip. Elixir creates an Elixir LS directory in your project root. You don't want it checked into your code, so adding the directory to your git ignore file is recommended. Good to know. Phoenix framework, syntax highline support for Phoenix templates, supports Keeks and templates as well. This is open so Phoenix heal HTML. Okay, cool. So yeah, so let's do this. I actually don't think I'm going to end up using. Well, we might end up using Phoenix. We might start a new Phoenix project. We'll see. So let's install this. So extensions, Elixir LS. Let's make sure that's right. Support and debugger. Yep, we want that. Cool. That was painless. And Phoenix framework. Phoenix framework. Text highline support for Keeks. Phoenix framework. Installing. View. Command palette. Preferences, open, settings, JSON. Okay. Recommends the following config change in your settings today. So let's find that. EMMET dot include languages. Cool. Let's add that. Default settings.json. Oh, okay. So wait a minute. View man palette. So no, I don't want to create a keyboard shortcut for that. I want to edit this thing. Reopen editor. See, I'm still new to this. Met dot include languages. Here we go. Now it's just gonna let me. Cannot edit in read-only editor. All right. Well, let's figure out where that lives. Let's open up a terminal. Let's go there. Setting. Visual Studio Code settings. Code settings. Okay. Code settings. You can also open settings, preferences with open settings, or use the keyboard shortcut. And so and preferences. So P preferences. Just close this. Command P. And Shift P. There we go. Preferences. Open settings. UI. Okay, that's just the UI. All right. You can search, discover the settings you're looking for. Appearance. Source control. Okay, so what we want is the settings. Preferences, open settings, JSON. Okay, so Command Shift P. Open preferences. Open settings. So we have default settings, and we'll do user settings. Here we go. Settings. Hmm. Can we just try this? MT, include languages, Phoenix, Weeks, HTML. All right, save, and then command palette, developer, reload, window. Okay, cool. Vim emulation with Visual Studio Code. So this makes me interested. I am a Vim guy, but I'm probably not going to do it today. we'll do it in a separate session, right? Okay, right now we're getting Elixir set up. Okay, so we got that done. Nice to have extensions. The critical pieces in place, let's add some frosting. We got Elixir test. Essentially with a few commands that helps you with your Elixir tests. I mean, I like writing tests, though honestly, I'm not very good with the Elixir test framework. Just with a few commands that helps you with your Elixir tests. Yep, that's the one. Okay. We'll install that. And then optional extensions, if you use Tailwind CS. No, I don't use Tailwind CS. CSS and discussion. Okay, I think that gets us with getting ready with this. So let's go back to close this, and let's go back to getting started with Elixir, right? And then so Windows, recompile packages, installing Erlang. Okay, we got all that. Home. Do we have IEX? Well, let's see. Do we have IEX? IEX is the REPL for Elixir. IEX. Yep, we got IEX. And I think it's Command C or Control C to get out of it. C, Control C, I think. Yep, okay. Get out of it. Good. And so if we do something like, so we'll just write a little bit of Elixir here just so you guys can see what it looks like. So let's make this bigger. So we've got EX, and we'll say Elixir. It's a string, so we're going to grab the string.graph names. Boop, boop. And we're going to pipe that to the enum.frequencies. We're stealing this right off the web page if you haven't noticed. That's going to give us frequencies of each grapheme in the word Elixir, right? So we have two I's, an R, an X, and a capital E. Cool. That's easy enough. Right. And then we'll do Elixir building an API. Elixir and Phoenix. Well, we'll just do that because we're going to be building an API, REST API. Introduction, Phoenix, lifecycle, creating a REST API using Elixir and Phoenix. So I've used Phoenix a little bit in the past, but we're going to have we're building something that is not backed by a database. We're building so let's talk about what we're building. So I want to make a web scraper that when you hit my API endpoint, it goes and scrapes a website and gets back some data. And this is an API that I'm going to use for something that is going to go into a database. And what I want is to scrape legislature websites. So if I go to, well, let's just do Alabama legislature bill search. So legislative bill tracking on the Alabama website, right? Oh, nope, nope, nope. I don't want you. I want the actual AL state legislature bill search. Okay. So here are bills in the legislature. So we'll just go to SB1, right? SB1. So if we search SB1, we get back this bill right here, right? If I do HB 101, no records found. Let's see. Is there a search by session? Can we filter? Filter rows, year. Let's do 2022, right? And, or even better, we'll filter by session. So if we do session, all right, session. Is there a, how do we know by, what does session look like here? session is 2023 regular session. Do that. 2023 regular session. Okay. 2023 regular session. All right, and we'll say SB1. All right. Is that gonna let us do that? So we may only be able to search by, here we go, Bill search all sessions. This is what we want. Yep. So we have Bill search, tab 3. We're going to scrape this, but we want to scrape it for, let's say, HB1. All right, so HB1, right? So HB1 for 2023. Can we filter on session 2023 regular session? Right? Good. So HB1. That's not a very good search. It doesn't work very well, right? Me back 876. Let's see. Well, if we look at a particular bill, we get back the bill history, which we're going to want. The bill summary, yeah, and we get its introduction, and that's a PDF. We don't want that. We're not going to be scraping a PDF. Fiscal notes, isolation. So, bill history, read first time. Looks like it was voted on in judiciary. We have a title. We have a current status. That's all stuff we want. And then what we also want is information. So if we do bill by house sponsor, right? House sponsored legislation. So search HB1. So that's an email address, right? We don't want that. No, we don't want that. Let's try a different. We'll come back to Alabama. Okay, Alabama's a mess. We'll come out. So let's do Alaska bill search. Alaska State Legislature. Please tell me they've got an old junky website that's easy to search. Right? Bills and laws. Here we go. Bills. All registers introduced. Enter bill code or statute. We can do HB1. Yeah, here we go. HB1. Sponsors. Cool. Short title. Cool. Status. Date. Current status. Cool, cool, cool. And do we have a history? Is this the history? Yep, this is going to be our history right here. So here's what we want. We want to, when we hit like HB1 for with the session of 2023 or whatever session it is. In this case, 2023, 2024. We want to be able to get back a JSON blob that is information about that bill. Additionally, for that particular bill, right? So SB1, search bill. SB1. Yeah, here we go. SB1, Senator Shower. That's a great name. Short title, elections, ballot voting security. And it was pre-filed in the 9th of January 2023. It was read in referrals, whatever this means, and then referred to state affairs. And that's where it died, apparently, because it never got any further than that. That all happened on the first day, right? And these are all the actions. Yep. We have any amendments? We do have amendments. So, okay. We don't want the full text. Right now, we just want details about the bill. We want things like who sponsored it. We want the short title in the title. We want the current status. We want the bill number, and we want the history of the bill as an array of like date, action, date, action, date, action, right? Cool. Can we display committee actions? Oh, so we have more stuff than that. Yeah. Okay, so it was referred to state affairs, and then here's what happened in state affairs. State affairs did some stuff, heard and held. We have some minutes. State affairs did something in this building, heard and held, and then we have minutes. Yep. So this looks like all goes together, and this all goes together. So we'll have to figure that out, right? Um, every legislature is different, so we're going to have a different scraper for each um, country, or not country, for each state, right? Let's create a new window real quick in Twitch. Make sure that I am for your dashboard, stream manager. Great. Okay. So, so that's what we're gonna do. I actually think we should just do them in alphabetical order and do Alabama legislature bill search. Alabama legislature bills. Bills all sessions. And we got to figure this out. We got to figure out how to. So my guess is that if we go to this, because this is being displayed the way it is, I almost bet you that this is actually calling an API on the back end, and we can figure out what it's calling and make those calls ourselves. Almost bet. But we'll figure it out. Either we're going to scrape it or we're going to figure out the API that the website itself is using, and we're going to get that data ourselves. Yep, that's the plan anyway. Okay, so building a REST API with Elixir. Getting started. So brew install Elixir, mix local hex. Do we have local hex? Let's make sure we've got that. Cool dot hex. No, because we already have that version of Elixir. We've already installed Phoenix. And then an OHTL, no Webpack, binary ID. And we're going to build this installs Phoenix on your machine. To create a new project, you need to run the following command. Right, okay. No HTML, no Webpack. Tells it it's not going to have HTML files since we're building a REST API, right? Binary ID will configure Ecto to use a UUID for our database schemas, such as primary key values. Don't actually care about that. Now we need to scaffold the application. So we're not going to have a database, right? So Phoenix API, no database, right? Without database, but with Ecto. So Phoenix API, no, we'll just do Phoenix no database, right? Without database. No Ecto. Okay, that's easy enough. So we're gonna run no HTML, no Webpack, no Ecto. We're not gonna have a database at all. And because the websites are gonna be, our scrapers are gonna be our sources of data, right? We're not gonna have a database. Cool. So let's just start with, we're gonna adjust this, but we're gonna start with the basic ideas here. So let's make this bigger. Is it big enough? Nope, nope. Needs to be bigger than that. Cool. We're gonna just do it like that. And like that. Cool. All right, so Elixir dash V. We've got Elixir ready to go. Got Phoenix ready to go. Let's go to CD work personal stash LA. Do I have anything in there? My blog. Okay, cool. Mix Phoenix.new. Let's call this legislation scraper API. All right. And we're going to run no HTML, no Webpack, and no Ecto. Right? That's what it said, right? No Ecto? Yep, no Ecto. Okay, cool. Could not invoke error found. No Webpack, unknown option. This must be an old thing. So we'll just take no Ecto, right? And then go from there. Cool. What's it gonna try to install here? Runtime test, Elixir formatter, blah blah blah. Web. Sure. When was this written? 2022. So what did I get wrong on the no Webpack? I may blow that away and start over. Let's do that actually. Legislation scraper API. Stash LA. If I have anything in this folder now? Nope. Okay. That I care about. Okay. So we're gonna run our command again. But dash no, I had it right the first time. Dash no web pack. Let's just copy that. Let's could not invoke no webpack unknown option. Well, let's Google that, right? Phoenix, no webpack. Option no webpack. Assets? Okay. So options. We're not going to use a database. No ES build and no tailwind. No dashboard. That's fine. We can have the dashboard. No ecto. Do not generate ecto files. Do not. No get text. Is this the right version of Phoenix? This is the current version, so that's fine. Primary key. We're not going to. No tailwind. Do not include tailwind dependencies in the generated micro. Tailwind. Okay, so we don't need tailwind. So ls-la. Okay, so we're not going to have no webpack. We're going to do no tailwind, right? Didn't include ES build. Setting this option only for API. We do not recommend setting this option unless for API only applications, as doing so requires you manually add and track JavaScript. Oh, well, that's great. We're not going to have any. This is an API, right? So we have an just API only application useful for APIs only. Without HTML and the JS bits. Cool. Yeah, we'll just do that. No ES build. No Ecto. No HTML, and no assets. Right? Cool. And JS, it's useful for APIs. Cool. See, the documentation on Elixir is pretty good. It's written by like sane people. You want to install dependencies? Yeah, sure. We'll install dependencies. Cool. And then we're going to go look at our directory structure, and we're going to have to figure out how Elixir works again. So I'm going to have to do routing and all that kind of stuff. And we'll also, I'm going to open Postman because we're going to be using it. So let's put Postman here in front of our browser window. And then we will blow it up really big. Ooh, that's way too big. First of all, we need to close all of my open tabs because close all tabs. Sure. Sure. Cancel. Cancel. Okay. Close all tabs. Don't save. 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 We're not saving any. I got a ton of open tabs. Okay, don't save. Okay, cool. Collections. Let's close these collections and create a new one. We're going to call this a blank collection, and we're going to call this collection. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Let's do that. Let's share what I'm doing. I'm going to add a new screen capture. Okay. Gonna switch over to application, Dell, and Postman. There we go. You should start seeing Postman now. Cool. All right. So new collection, and we're going to call this collection legislation scraper. All right. Cool. And then we'll add a request in a little bit. So let's open back up our Elixir Phoenix new options. App module database, no assets, no mailer, no. Okay, samples. All right, well, let's see what we got. So why don't we open this in Visual Studio Code now? Okay, so open folder. Work, personal, legislation scraper, open. All right, and we have a lib with some Phoenix in it. Ooh, and it's all syntax highlighted-y, like it's Phoenix-y. Good, it recognizes that I've got Phoenix. Cool, my extensions are working. We have a test. Test helpers. So what happens if can we run our tests? What's the shortcut for running our tests? Yeah, here we go. Tests. Cool. Vendors 404, vendors 500. Internal server error. And those are going to render as JSON, which is what I want. Sweet. Phoenix is smart, you guys. Cool. So this is slow getting up and running. Why is it taking so long? Debug console. Test results. Terminal. Okay, we have a terminal. That's good. Why is this taking so long to run the tests? That is worrisome. Like this is, I thought the data weave. That's terrible. Okay, but it ran our test. So if I run it the second time, does it take a long? No, it's fast. Just the first time I had to build everything. Okay, cool. 2 tests, 0 failures, 1 excluded. Which one's excluded? Uh, let's make this a little. There we go. Can I run all my tests? Two tests, zero failures, one excluded. Where's my excluded? If I got a test in here or something that's being excluded? I'm confused. Use legislature scraper API web con case async true. Test renders 404. Assert that that's found. Test renders 500. Assert that. All right, we'll come back to it later. Okay, we have a router. Cool. Def module. What is it? The pattern can never match the type. Weird. Okay, so scope dev. Live dashboard is dashboard. Cool. Let's go read Phoenix getting started. Phoenix Elixir getting started. All right. Up and running. Fetch local dependencies. CD hello. Fetch and install dependencies. Did all that. All right, here we go. Here's what we want. Mix ecto create. Nope. Mix Phoenix server. Start your server. Let's go to that. Mix Phoenix.server. It says it's running on localhost 4000. So if I go to that in my browser, does it exist? Hey, no route found for, let's do dev dashboard. /dev/dashboard. Hey, look at that. It's up and running. Cool. It's got my Phoenix versions, my Elixir versions, ports, processes, memory allocation, sockets. Cool, 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 cool. So something to know about Elixir is that it runs a ton of these independent little processes, right? So when you start up a Elixir project, you're going to fire up all these little processes. These are all the little processes, and they just pass messages back and forth. Phoenix was, or Elixir, or Erlang, which is the at the bottom level of all of this. Erlang was built for the telecom industry, I think in like the UK or something, and so it's good at resilience. So it has like supervisors that like watch the children and make sure that they're not getting into a weird state, and if they are, it kills them and fires up a new process. And so it's all about having a whole bunch of bunch of little processes that do all their stuff. So here's all of our processes. So we've got our gen server processes and our ports and our applications. Oh my God, this is huge. I don't love that this is so huge, but I mean, yeah, we got SSL out of the box, WebSockets, telemetry, Cowboy. This is our HTTP server. Here's our logger. Access any page with this query parameter. Request logger, copy to clipboard. So, oh, and then you give it the logger with that key, right? And then this is our cookie parameter. Okay, metrics. We're not going to have any metrics, so we're not making any calls yet. Home. So, okay, cool. So you can also run your app inside of, so yeah, that's another thing. If you want to do stuff with your REPL while your server's running. You can run your server from within your REPL and then still have your REPL available. So that lets you like, oh, if I call this class while the server's running, what do I get back from like my database or whatever? Cool. So localhost 4000. So let's try that real quick. So HTTP : localhost. I think we already tried that, right? 4000. And we got back the error because we don't have it's 4000, not 400. 4000. That's the one that we don't have a dashboard. Right, so here's our mailbox, our CSS, our JS, no route for that. Cool. All right. So now when we write routes, we can call them with our postman and we'll get back data. And you can see here, here's our error that it threw within our debugger. We got all our nice clean logs. Like we're set up to start coding, which it's almost 9 o'clock. We might start doing some coding tonight. Okay, so what else? Yeah, okay, why not? We're gonna do an initial commit. Let's create our repo, right? So github.com. We're gonna make this a private repo, even though I'm sharing all my code publicly because I might not share all my code publicly someday. And we're gonna call this legislation scraper API. Description. I don't really need a description. I'm the one that's writing it, the only one using it. It's not going to be public, so create that for now. And then let's do this. So get status, get init, get status. Do we have a get ignore? We do. Let's open our get ignore, right? So file, get ignore. And something suggested we add, let's see, our blog post suggested adding something to our get ignore, right? Was it in this? Get ignore. Nope, it was in our Elixir VSCode start. Let's see, what did it suggest putting in our get ignore? Creates an Elixir ls directory in your project. So let's just add that to our. Do we have that in our project root? Yep, we sure do. There it is. We have our config, prod.exs, all that. Yeah, so let's leave that in our get ignore. So get ignore. Elixir. Yes. Slash. Right. And then also it's going to, is it putting my config in here? I don't really want my config in here, do I? Oh, it's fine. It's not secrets. It's just, yeah, temp. So let's save that and then see what we get now. So is it going to add it? Get status. Get so ls-la Elixir ls. So there's Elixir get status. Yeah, it's not in there. Okay. Was it before? Get config global default branch name. Yeah, okay, so gonna yeah, we'll figure it out later. All right. Not super worried about it. It's a private repo anyway. It just might be a lot of data. And we'll check before we push what's in our, but it doesn't look like it's going to edit. Okay, so up and running, Phoenix. Yeah, here we go. I want this, right? Gonna add our remote, get status, get add all, get status. So did it leave it off? So we have formatter. That's our only dot files, or formatter and EXS. Everything else is ignored, right? Perfect. Okay, I don't know why it's ignoring it because I don't see it in my git ignore. But it is, and we have it added in there. So okay. Git commit dash m initial commit push dash u origin. Cool. Refresh. I'll just Elixir scraper here. Mix setup, mix Phoenix server logos. Check your deployment guides. Cool. We have code in our private repo. Okay. So we are all set up to begin coding. So we have our live dashboard. We have our broken ass router. Reduction Phoenix, how Phoenix works. So live cycle of Phoenix requests. We have our endpoint, our router, our controllers, our view, and our template. And where our view in this case is not going to return anything other than JSON, right? And our JSON will be a template. And we have model, endpoint, router, controller. Controller is going to go get our data from our scraper, build it into the model, and send our response. So creating a REST API using Phoenix. Prerequisites. Official docs. So I have basic understanding of Elixir syntax. It's been a while, but we'll mess up. We'll have to come back to it. That's fine. We got Phoenix up and running. We're not using a database. We're not going to configure a database. Schema and migration. Okay. Here we have admin, user. We don't give a shit about any of that. Excuse my language. No, okay, but this is their users, right? So def model users. So ecto, we're not going to have that. Running migration, scaffolding, controller, and view. So Phoenix gen users. No context, no schema. And that gives them back a. So let's go look at what we have in our controllers and stuff. Do we have anything yet? Let's close our config, open our lib. So we have a router. And we have controllers. And I think our controller literally right now is just our error.json, right? Yep. And we have no models. So let's see. Do we need controller for the users? So we're gonna run some of this. So you create a database, you need a model to data, so we're not going to do that because we're not going to have a database. Here we have admin, mix, Phoenix gen context, admin, users name. Okay, cool. So let's try this. So mix Phoenix.gen context. Actually, you know what? Phoenix getting started. We're gonna do this in the actual Phoenix documentation. Did all that. We're not gonna do that. We have that. We did all that. We got that, except we don't have the actual page. Control installation, next page, community. Nope. Packages. Ecto, Phoenix, Phoenix Live View, plug, X unit. Okay, so guides, directory structure. Here we go. The lib hello directory. So we have lib, legislation scraper API, web. So we have application exe. So this has got our telemetry, our endpoints, supervisor. Yep, yep. Okay. So the hello directory hosts all your business domains. Since your project does not have any business logic yet, the directory is mostly empty. Yep. So lib legislation scraper is what we have here. We have an application exe in there. We do, and we have a mailer, right? We don't have a repo.exe because I don't know why. Probably because we didn't generate something that we didn't, whatever the repo means, we didn't generate that, right? So application exe file defines an Elixir application. Hello application. That's because at the end of the day, Phoenix application is simply Elixir apps. Good. Okay. Hello application module defines which services are part of our application. Cool. So let's go look what services are part. So we have telemetry, the pub subsystem. So this is how the application passes just messages around. Finch, don't know. And the endpoint, right? So now, okay, good. And I'm not going to worry about the details right now. We go to our mailer. We have swoosh mailer, legislation scraper. Okay, cool. The same, we're going to have repo. Repo defines a hello repo module, which is our main interface to the database. That's why we don't have repo, because we don't have database. So if you're using Postgres, your default database, you will see something like this. Ecto repo, blah, blah, blah. Right, we're not using that, so we're not going to. Cool. Repo, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. So our web directory, we're going to have hello web. Probably not. So, oh yeah, we do. We have our web directory. Yep. Which is going to have all the files that are currently in the controllers and components directories are there to create the welcome to Phoenix page, which we don't have because we didn't do that. So we don't have any HTML in here. We do have, the only thing we have under controllers is our error JSON. We don't have any components, right? Nope. And if we look at this, we have a yeah, we'll come back to that. Okay, all the files. Look at the controller components. We can see Phoenix provides features for handling layouts in HTML. Besides directories, 4 files are its root. Endpoint is the entry for HTTP requests. Okay, so this is where HTTP requests come in, which makes sense. This is our and once the server browser accesses the endpoint, starts processing the data, which is defined in router. Okay, so endpoint processes the data defined in router. Okay, which we're going to have to work with. Don't know why it's giving me a warning there, but we're going to ignore it for now. Okay, the router defines the rules to dispatch the requests to controllers. Right, so pipe through API. Yep. scope API. Ooh, we have an API endpoint. So if I call localhost, we go here slash API, we don't get anything, but because API accepts JSON. Okay, cool. All right. Yep. All right. So this is going to be what we route all of our requests through, right? And then API is this. Yep. And it's going to accept JSON, right? Yep. Good. Okay, cool. Yep. That makes sense. Let's see where we are up and running. Did I lose my? No, here we are. Okay. Router defines the rules to dispatch to the controllers, starting with the request lifecycle guide coming next. We'll look at that later. Through telemetry, Phoenix is able to collect metrics and send monitoring events to your stuff, so that's where this comes in. So, telemetry polar, Phoenix metrics, start system time, stop duration. Yeah, okay, cool. VM metrics, nice. And then you can define periodic measurements in there. Okay, cool. All right. And then there is the gettext.exe file, which provides internalization through gettext. If you are not worried about internalization, you can safely skip this file. So do I have a gettext? Module provide internationalization. Right. Okay, cool. We're gonna skip that for now. We're not worried about internationalization. This is all US based stuff. Assets directory contains the source files provided to front-end assets. We don't have an assets directory probably because we did not use assets. Great, good, okay. So we don't need to know about that. So, well, there you go. Request lifecycle, next page. We did that, I did that, yep. All right, adding a new page. So when your browser accesses this, it sends HTTP requests to API slash doesn't do anything. Okay, all right, cool. Let's close that. Go to that. All right. So hello, it's gonna get hello. That's gonna get hello world. Right, that makes sense. New route. So let's create a route. We're gonna create our first route. So we're gonna go to our router. Router. And we're going to create a section. Okay. The route for our welcome to looks like this. Get / control page controller home. We don't have one of those. All right. Yep. Okay. Let's just so this is what it would look like. So pipeline browser accepts HTML, plug fetch session, blah blah blah. Pipeline accepts JSON, scope /dev. So we need to add a scope, right? Yeah, we have an API. We have a scope. We have API, right? Pipe through API. Good. Okay. Get page controller. Okay, cool. So we need to add a controller, right? So for now, I'm going to pipe on use scope. Yep. Pipe through browser, get page controller, get hello controller index. Okay, new controller. Cool. So do we have any controllers? What do we have? We don't. That's the issue. We gotta add a controller. Cool. So to make the index action, let's create a new file and make it look like the following. We're gonna make it similar. So new file. We're gonna call it Alabama. Oh, dude, states slash. Actually, let's create. No, we'll just do Alabama dot ex. Right? Alabama dot ex. Okay. And we're gonna do def module. Def module. Oh, look at that. That's neat. It's smart. Use. Oh, no. Use. Uh, legislation scraper API web controller. Okay. And def index on params do render con index. This is going to be wrong. It's not going to render con index. It's going to render something else, right? It's going to render. Let's go to our Phoenix API getting started. Controller, scaffolding controller view. So controller, so use Phoenix controller, def call, put status render 404. Controller, okay, so we need a controller that use web router, pipeline APK. Plug accepts JSON scope, user controller. All right, cool, cool, cool. Index. So resources, users can scope, API, users can accept. So what does this render? Where do we render the JSON? Right? Where do we build the JSON that we're rendering? Is it just going to convert it to JSON? Phoenix controller return JSON object. Controllers JSON. Rendering JSON. Here we go. Render con URL. Okay. Rendering JSON. To understand how to render, let's start with the index action from the URL controller. Blah blah blah. Renders a list of URLs. Okay. Fallback. With OK post. Authorize user render con show post post. Alright. Instead, we can define a module plug to put view JSON. Hello there, JSON. Okay, so we got to create. So put view JSON hello web air JSON. Cool. We have views. API only applications. In case you want to generate Phoenix application exclusively for APIs, you can use serval. No flags, no assets, no dashboard, no ecto, no ES build, no get text to generate text files. Okay. All right. Cool. have an error JSON. So controller, error JSON, render errors Phoenix controllers. Template. Status message from template. Template. Interesting. Okay, so we're learning. Put view. So JSON API. URLs. Three ball links. URLs 1. Okay, render a JSON. Render URLs. Use it as one view per rendering format. When render HTML, you should use hello HTML. If you collect template at hello web controllers URL JSON, let's open it up. So here's URL JSON, alias hello URL. There's a list of URLs, def index data. Oh, well, there you go. We can just do this. Def index data hello, right? We want render on index I'll be here. Can we just render this for now? Is this gonna work? Hello world? Does that work? Right? We just render that and then we'll figure out later on how to do that. So save that and then we're gonna add route for Alabama, all right? Controller view. So route resources versus Alabama, right? Alabama. No, we should rename this. So let's just delete it, right? No, we could just rename it Alabama. No, we'll just leave that alone. I think that's actually okay. Did they call it Alabama? What is it? Mixgen link. URLs, URL link, string, title, string. Okay, well, why don't we just do it with a mix? We'll just delete this and we'll do it with a mix. Move to trash. So, mix Phoenix gen dot JSON Alabama Alabama. What does this link do here? Oh, okay. So, okay, cool. So, link. So in this case, it's going to be what the contents of it is. So, for now, we'll just do title string. Okay. Okay. So Alabama, Alabama, Alabama. Expect a context module name followed by a singular and plural names of the generated resource ending with any number of attributes. For example, Mix Phoenix gen.json Alabama 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 name string title string. The context and schema should have different names. Okay, and then so we'll do scraper Alabama, right? Scraper Alabama. Cool. Okay, so there's our Alabama controller, right? Index, list Alabama, create. We're not going to have a create. We're not going to have a show. Update. We're not going to have an update. All right, we're going to delete that. We don't want update. Files and hello web. So controllers, Alabama JSON. All right. Cool. Alabama do, Alabama show, data, ID, Alabama ID, title, Alabama title. Okay. So what happens now if I go to my router? Oh my God, it already added it. Oh no, I did it, right? I started to add it. And Alabama. So what's the name of this controller? Let's see, fallback controller. Scraper.alabama, right? If I do Bama controller, is that right? So if I run this, what happens if I run the server now? Do I get back anything? Module ecto query is not loading, cannot be found. This may be happening because the module is trying to load directly or indirectly, depends on, so legislation API script module. So says API controller, error.json, Alabama controller. So we don't want that. Okay, so that seems we're gonna have to manually do it because we're not gonna be generating these from Ecto. So we'll figure it out on our own later. But right now, I think I've hit a good stopping point. I'm actually going to get status, get checkout main, get status, get stash, get status, get checkout lib, get reset lib. Oh yeah, I gotta learn how to get throw away local changes. I think it's because I get status, get checkout. Okay. All right. Back to how we were before. Perfect. So that's where we started. Threw away all my changes. And we will call it a night because it is 9:30 and I am not going to be very effective. And tomorrow we will learn how to build our first endpoint with the API.